Well, happy Thursday or Friday Eve to everybody. So excited you're all here for our affiliate of ISM, the ISM Carolinas, Virginia. We are an affiliate that represents North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Proud affiliate of ISM. I've seen many folks who've come from different chapters, but if you aren't familiar with ISM, I'll give a little bit of a 15-second commercial. Yes, Sherry. And um, ISM is one of the largest and first organizations that brings together practitioners in the supply management world. We have now over 50,000 members across 100 different countries and are in the forefront of really educating and education and thought leadership around supply chain risk, about procurement, strategic sourcing, econom, um, econometric reporting and monitoring, supply chain conditions and strategy. Uh, many have seen, uh, Many of us have seen the report on business or the PMI indices that the ISM publishes. Right now, they serve as a global uh, barometer indicator of the status of the U.S. economy, as well as then how the U.S. and other countries of the world work together in commerce. So very happy to have everyone here. I'm Dupre Jones, current Vice President of ISM-CV. Here with Faith Matthews, our current president for ISM-CV for this year. Very proud to have her as our leader today. And uh, last but not least, our most important honored guest is my friend Mary Casillo. So we're really excited to have you here. And we're going to be talking about pallets. It's a topic that I think, Mary, we underestimate, we don't really understand very well in the procurement world. But if you could maybe just introduce yourself a little bit and then kind of share a little bit about the Pallet Alliance.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having me today. This is going to be a fun discussion. I can talk about pallets forever. There's so much to talk about. I work for Pallet Alliance. So Pallet Alliance is an absolutely incredible um, organization that I work for. So we're a pallet and crate um, um, national management company. So what we do is we use a holistic approach to pallet program management. So we help you effectively manage cost drivers like the sourcing of pallets, the design, the implementation of successful programs. So what we do is we work with Fortune 100 to 500 organizations that have multi-site manufacturing facilities and distribution centers. And we help you guys to procure pallets on a very large scale. But we also help you make sure that those pallets are fit for purpose. Um, and how we do that is that we partner with over 3,500 pallet manufacturers across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. And those alliances that we have with those pallet manufacturers, we make sure that we find out exactly what the customer needs, and we then pair them with the right pallet manufacturer that can provide them, that have those capabilities to meet the needs of our customers. We've been in business for over 30 years. We were one of the first pallet management programs to have existed, uh, and and we love what we do. I myself am the Senior Vice President of Business Development, so I'm the professional friend maker for our company, and we employ wood scientists, pallet scientists. It is a thing, and it does exist, I promise. Wood packaging engineers, and we take our job pretty seriously, and we've been able to successfully help our customers for over 30 years. So it's a pretty cool gig that I have. I didn't think I'd be in pallets, but here I am, enjoying every second of it. So I'm excited to
Awesome.
be here. I'm excited to talk about pallets with you guys. We'll do a probably a quick little run through of pallet 101 and then continue the conversation from there.
Great. Well, thank you so much. It's pretty unique, I think, for ISM to finally have something of this nature as a topic, and I'm really thrilled that you and I came up with this idea and are here today. So let's just get down to basics, like basic definitions and so forth. Similar to our 7 or 8 step or however many step sourcing processes we have in our world. Let's define like what exactly we're talking about. Let's just maybe get some basic definitions so that we all have a common vocabulary right now.
Sure. Do you mind if I share my screen?
Please
Okay. And let me know when you can see that.
go for it. Yes.
Perfect. I think I'm going to get a little laser here too, because I'll have to point some things out. Can you see this laser?
Mhm. Yep. I'm glad I don't
Okay.
have a cat or dog near me because they'll be chasing it, right?
Great. Okay, so let's make sure I got the buttons. So pallets defined, right? Everybody uses pallets across the world. Fun fact, there's over 2 billion pallets in movement across the world every day. So you guys wouldn't get the stuff that you need if it didn't come on a pallet. That's how they move things around. So there is a plethora of pallets that are out there. Millions and millions and millions of different types of specifications, but we can go through a couple here. New pallets. So new pallets, they're made with new lumber, hardwood and softwood. You have recycled pallets, which are pallets that are reused through a system. You can have a closed loop system or an open loop system where you work with pallet manufacturers who recycle pallets. It's just pallets that are reused on a regular basis. They're repaired and reused. You have combo pallets, which are both new and recycled material. So you may have new stringers, which is what this is. This right here is a stringer. And then recycled decking. Deck boards are up here. A remanufactured pallet is a pallet that is completely reconstructed from salvaged parts and new material. So companies may use a remanufactured pallet when they're trying to build a specific pallet that may not be a typical standard size, but they do want to use recycled material to do so. It's sustainable aspect of it and also cost perspective. You get plastic pallets, HDPE, which is high density polyurethane. And then there's polypropylene, if I'm correct. And those are durable and hygienic. So a lot of food companies will use plastic. A lot of pharmaceutical companies will use plastic. And what's great about them is that they get a few more turns out of use just because they may last a little bit longer and you can clean them. So a lot of pharmaceutical companies, if they are reusing their plastic pallets, they will have so sorry, my team's going off. Um, if they have something that needs to be sterile, they can actually clean a plastic pallet and move forward. So something that you don't see often is metal pallets. These may be made of steel, aluminum. They're very heavy duty and they do last a very long time. The only time I have seen a aluminum pallet is when I was in a food processing plant that had a freezer that went below negative 50 degrees. And the reason they
Mhm.
had to use aluminum is because the product that was on top of it wouldn't stick to it. So with
Mhm.
wooden, there's moisture in wood and it would freeze and crack and so on and so forth. So with aluminum, they were using that in a food grade facility.
We see that
Um,
we actually see that in pharma, Mary, by the way. We're seeing in cold
Aluminum,
chain.
okay.
Well, I mean, you would think it would be a really good use case in pharma because there's sometimes where you have ultra low temperature. Either you would put something on the pallet or have it in an intermediate bulk container, caged, right? Those kinds of
Yeah,
things. But I could see that I could see this being used in that environment of -30, -40 Celsius.
yeah. It's pretty interesting. It was not fun to walk through that freezer, I'll tell you that. And then you have corrugate. So these are lightweight and recyclable. Um, one of the largest companies that uses corrugate is IKEA. I'm sure if you guys have ever been to an IKEA, you have seen their product sitting on corrugate pallets. Very interesting. Another fun fact is that you can have pallets that are composite, which is a bunch of different materials pressed together or glued together. Interesting enough, hemp. Another one is coconut core, which was the strangest one I've heard. And then you can have even cement pallets are used, which is really interesting. You don't see a lot of that, but it is a thing.
Interesting.
Yeah. So talking about recycled, there are different grades of recycled, right? It's you have a premium A, a standard A, and your standard B grade. They each have their own condition. So your premium A grade is going to be your best condition. If you just get a standard A grade, the palette has only been used a couple of times. And then your lowest quality is going to be the B grade, and that's a palette that's used over and over and over again. Um, a lot of times you'll see premium A grade being used or new pallets of 4840 being used with food companies. They use a lot of them. They have to be a little bit cleaner and a little bit more in a little bit better condition than your B grade pallet. So it is it is interesting across the United States, Canada, and in Mexico, pallet manufacturers. You have pallet manufacturers that only focus in new pallets. You may have pallet manufacturers that do new and recycled programs, and then you have pallet manufacturers who are only in the recycled arena. So,
Oh, wow. Okay. So there's some
yeah.
specialization there. Okay.
Yeah, it's pallet manufacturers are a wide variety. There have been some pretty interesting pallet manufacturing facilities that I have been in, uh, all the way up to, almost, 500,000 square feet of manufacturing. And then I've
Mm-hmm.
also been in a pallet manufacturer who is underneath a carport in a parking lot. So
Hmm.
the range is quite a variable.
S- Okay.
Yep.
Neat.
And then your standard size is 4840. This is a GMA pallet, grocery manufactured association, dubbed this the standard size. Um, and then a little bit about pallets in general. You have stringer pallets. This is a stringer pallet. As you can see, there's spaces in between the boards, and they are using um, stringers to support the boards. Your block pallet is standard. You'll see some rental pallets out there that are blue and red and black. Those will usually be black. And then you see a skid. A lot of times people will call all of these skids just because it's
I'm
a
guilty.
shorter word. Oh, there you go.
Guilty.
Everybody calls them skids, but actually the legit definition of a skid is a pallet that does not have bottom boards.
Okay.
Um, you have two-way entry pallets. These are accessible from two sides. This one right here is a two-way entry. You can enter your forklifts or pallet jacks on this side or on the other side, which you can't see. Your four-way pallets are accessible from all angles. You can see you can enter the pallet here, here on the back, and on the other side. And then you have your partial four-way entry, which is pallets that have stringers that are notched. So you can access the pallet from all four sides on that. You have open deck pallets, which are these. You have the spaces in between there, and then you have your solid pallets. So it's a continuous surface. You can either butt all of these boards or additional boards together, or you can use plywood. Some people use plywood just to close the top. And sometimes what that has to do with is the product and the material that's actually going on top
Mm-hmm.
of the pallet. They can't have anything drooping down or missing, and they just need that support underneath it. So that is your basic, basic firsthand pallet 101.
Well,
Um,
here's a question I have as we start going through it. This is basically
yeah.
USA, right? Canada, and Mexico, right?
Mhm.
Um, is that the only standard?
No, so there's the European pallet, and European pallets, they go by millimeters. They are not in measured in inches. So the standard, if I can go back here. So a lot of times the standard in Europe is to use a block pallet.
So first off,
Um,
it's the form, the shape. You're saying first it's the
yes.
shape and then the measurements, or another category. Okay.
So, if I can remember correctly, I'm gonna be wrong on this, and if I'm wrong, the palette people can stone me if they'd like. But if you're doing European palettes and you're shipping to Europe, um, you'll see these in millimeters. So it's always length times width, 4840 long, which would be this, and then
Hmm.
the width would be this. Um, so in European sizes, it's 1600 millimeters by 400 millimeters.
But
I may be wrong.
are there different standards as well? I mean, do they have different standards by region, or are there, I mean, maybe some common, but then maybe region specific standards around the world?
They may. From what I know, Europe is a little bit more strict. I
Hmm.
mean, let's talk about shipping domestic versus
Yeah.
um, international. So when you ship internationally, you have to make sure that, let's say, the species of lumber that you're using, you need to make sure that you are meeting the standards before it leaves the country, which is a treatment. And some countries do require chemical treatment, but with heat treatment, what you're doing, a lot of people think that heat treating is to remove the moisture. Yes, it helps, but really heat treatment is used to remove the insects that are in the pallets, or not really remove them, but kill them, just to make sure that they're not, any invasive diseases are not going where they shouldn't be going.
So it's really, we need to, again, it just unveils from, I think it's just easily to say it unveils so many facets that we need to perhaps put in some sourcing events.
Oh yeah,
So that's where I want to perhaps just transition there
absolutely.
and say, okay, hey, what's from the supplier, voice of supplier now, from all of us procurement nerds, right?
You
Um,
got it.
uh, what's your, what are your what kind of common things do you observe from us when we say we want to have a pallet program?
So a lot of times, a lot of companies will run an RFP or an RFQ. And what they'll do is they'll gather the information that they have and they'll send it out to the pallet manufacturers that they know. They'll send it out to other pallet management companies, or they'll reach out to rental companies to see if they can start renting pallets. Um, what we see when we do that is um, a lot of confusion. And the reason why there's a lot of confusion is because pallet specifications are all over the place. And that may be because of micro regional spots of where people are getting lumber, or that may be because pallet specifications have not been updated in years. I think we see some RFPs and RFQs come through that have pallet specifications that were built in 1993. And then, when Pallet Alliance, what we do is an on-site audit to actually go and view what you're currently getting. We find a lot of times that companies are providing specifications that don't match exactly what they're getting. So that's why Pout Alliance is really cool. When we do our on-site visits, we actually provide the information of, okay, you provided this specification, but here's what you're actually getting. Here's what species it is, you know, here's how you're receiving it, so on and so forth. So we get a lot of information when it comes to RFQing, but Pout Alliance takes it very seriously to say, okay, is this actually what you're getting?
Or
Is the
what you really
specific
want, right?
Yeah, right. So when it comes to finding out what you really want, that's another reason why Pout Alliance sets themselves apart from every other pallet management company because we send our tech team who have the years and years of experience and the education with forestry science, um, again, pallet science, um, and the engineering aspect. We want to create for you a fit for purpose, meaning what's your unit load? What are you putting on top of this? Like your product and primary packaging characteristics. How is it interacting with that? And we use a software that we're able to actually determine, what are the pressure points, how you're stacking your boxes. What are the pressure points of those boxes? Is your pallet overbuilt or underbuilt? Are you using a different species? Is there a different species you can use to save money? So on and so forth. So pallets get pretty complicated and a lot of people don't know and understand that. Um, and when I started working at Pallet Alliance, the conversations I had, even over just the type of fastener that's being used, makes a huge difference
Mm.
with how the pallet is built. And then again, that can make a cost difference for people in procurement. So again, if you want to take a look at your pallet program across the board, having a professional in the pallet industry do that for you is the best advice I could give.
It's
Um,
pretty overwhelming, though. I mean, as
yeah,
a procurement professional and practitioner, it's 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 daunting, and many CPOs or directors of of all indirect, like heads of indirect or direct
Mhm.
procurement, or even supply chain leaders, I mean, they were asking for it yesterday, right? Or
Yeah.
put in their strategic plan, and sometimes time is not our friend from a sourcing
Mhm.
perspective. So, I guess the next thing would be kind of thinking about is what are some of those life hacks that we all talk about? Are there some tools that we might find available that could help educate us? Are there certain forums? Are there certain kind of education sources that we could use to kind of ramp up our knowledge and so forth in that space?
Yeah, absolutely. Call me at Pout Alliance. Kidding. But there's also there's this great organization. It's the NWPCA, which is the National Wooden Pallet Container Association. And it's this huge group that a lot of pallet manufacturers belong to. And there's also the Pallet Foundation.
Okay.
And what the Pallet Foundation is a organization who is raising money to put towards the science of pallets. And I think it's incredible. They're currently doing a race for pallets right now. A lot of people join and compete and raise money for the Pallet Foundation. And they participate in this because they're also supporting being healthy, as everyone is. And if you look into those organizations, they can provide you with white papers to review. Um, let's talk about who you're currently partnered with now as a procurement professional. Are you taking a look at who you're partnered with? Are you taking a look at what they're doing for you? Have you had conversations with them? Have you reviewed your current pallet program? Are you centralized or decentralized? Where does your pallet program lie? Is it an indirect? Is it direct? Is it an MRO?
Mm,
There are so many, when what we see when companies reach out to us is like, or when I'm doing my job, right? When I'm researching companies and I'm looking into where does their pallet category lie? It's
mm-hmm.
interesting to see that some pallet categories are in direct, some are in indirect. Some are in
Yeah.
MRO. It's a matter of, and I think that this is why pallets are overlooked often, right? Is because it's just another category that's like, oh yeah, we need pallets. That's it. We just need 4840s. See ya.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a packaging tool that people really consider
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to that. But the the amount of continuous improvement opportunities and innovation that's happening in the pallet industry can significantly impact your current process make you more efficient, make you more cost efficient. Supply chain resiliency is huge. Um,
Yeah.
being aware in general of what you're currently doing with this specific category,
Hmm.
you could make a lot of changes.
Well, I think here's my next here's another thing of thinking about is over the last maybe 15 years or so, there's been, if I look at who my suppliers are, they have different names now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been some mergers and acquisitions and spin-offs and so forth. Um, one would be CHEP, right? As one name we all kind of know as the who to go to from a procurement perspective. How do we, what's that looking like now? I mean, there's been, like I said, there has been some changes in what name and what brand name is on a different pallet. How has that evolved over the years from what Pallet Alliance has seen?
Yeah. I think we can talk about the pandemic was a big turning point for the pallet industry. I think it
Mm,
brought to light how important the pallet actually was because everybody was trying to get one. Um, but I think what has happened to a lot of pallet shops is that, how do I say this? I feel like with the pallet industry, there were a lot of acquisitions because there were a lot of times when mom and pop pallet shops, right? They were going through a hard time and they're like, okay, what can I do now? And during that time, everybody and their mom was looking for a pallet, so they were working so hard, but everybody and their mom was looking for a pallet that was cheap. They weren't looking for fit for purpose pallets. They just needed something to put their product on and send it.
hmm
And what happened at that point was that there was some pressure for these mom and pop shops to be cheaper to win business. And then ultimately it ended up impacting them. And then larger companies who have the capital came in and purchased them and then just took over.
Okay.
Yep. And when you talk about CHEP or you talk about PACO, you talk about IGPS,
Yeah.
those organizations are pooled pallets, which means
Oh, okay. See, there you
companies,
go.
yeah, companies rent from them. They don't purchase from them. So if you're a company who has an opportunity to rent pallets, those are the companies you would go to.
Got it.
But if you wanted to purchase, there
Hmm.
is the possibility of owning your own pallets and then doing a repair and return program to get them back to be more sustainable, which is in turn owning your own pallets, having them repaired and then sent back into you. But the only way you can do that is if you know and understand where you are shipping to, and if there's the ability and the volume enough to get those pallets to repair them and then send them back into yourself. That is the service that Pallet Alliance does offer as well.
I was about to say, do you happen to know a company that can do that?
I do. I know a company that has this pretty cool technology called IntelliPallet. Um, it's patented technology where we actually embed a IoT technology into the pallet. This helps with a plethora of things, but it you can actually track where your pallets are in real time. Um, we've worked with companies who are trying to figure out. We did a subset of tracking devices and they were trying to figure out where their pallets were ending up. And it was interesting because they would ship them and then we would find out that one ended up, say we sent these to New York, one ended up in
Hmm.
Hawaii, right? And they're like, why did our pallet end up in Hawaii? Um, but a lot of times companies will reach out to Pallet Alliance to ask about our IoT technology, how it works, how they can implement it, and then we've used it internally with our current customers to actually find cost savings for them by implementing a repair and return program, doing the science and the math and the tracking and all that stuff together to find out where these things were going so we could then
Hmm.
gather them, repair them, and send them back in at a cheaper cost. And we have a few customers that we manage currently that we've been with more than 15 years that we keep finding continuous improvement opportunities with and cost savings. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that speaks loudly to our tenure of customers because they
Mm-hmm.
like to hang out with us because we're still finding them savings.
Well, how do we, and if we were to have, if we didn't have the chance to work with Pallet Alliance,
Mhm.
like many of us haven't yet, right? That's why we're here. Are there certain cost drivers or are there certain things that would make up the total cost of ownership that we should follow? I would think obviously wood prices or
Mhm.
metal or chemicals for the HDPE or polypropylene. Um,
Mhm.
what other types of components that make up that total cost of ownership?
So when it comes to building a pallet, what's included in the cost of building a pallet is,
Yeah.
again, prices are going to be micro regional. It depends on
Okay.
where you are in the country. It depends on where your manufacturer is getting their lumber from. It depends, are they ordering from a big box store or are they ordering from a mom and pop down the road? You also have to take into consideration like the total cost of a pallet is maybe 75% lumber. The rest of it is regional pricing, the rest of it is labor. You know, are you working with a pallet manufacturer who just purchased millions of dollars in automated equipment who now needs to increase their prices so they can do that? Or are you working with a pallet manufacturer who has a lot of people on staff who have to pay their people more?
So people versus machines in a sense.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Okay. How about and then I guess you'd have the fasteners and the blocks. Do the blocks, when we look at the
Mhm.
blocks, are those often lumber or are they something else?
They can be lumber, they can be composite.
Mm,
Um, they can be plastic actually because they when they become you can actually fasten wood to plastic. It's not recommended, but you can do it. But the blocks themselves can be manufactured as composite, so different
mm-hmm,
wood materials pressed together and then glued.
mm-hmm,
Um, you'll find that with a lot of European pallets, they use a lot of glue.
mm-hmm,
Um, those are actually hard to recycle because of maybe not understanding what's in the glue or the stuff that is in the glue is not recyclable.
mm-hmm,
Um, so a lot of times we have organizations who receive
mm-hmm.
European pallets. They then can't find that partner who will recycle them because the cost of recycling them is more expensive than
Right.
figuring out how to reuse them. So, um, but it all depends on what your product is
That's
with
sitting on it. I mean,
correct.
mm-hmm,
So there is a plethora of opportunities to figure out the best solution to what your organization could be using for pallets.
so
Um,
it's like a fit for purpose based on like how you're actually using them,
mhm,
storing drums versus cardboard
correct.
boxes versus appliances or okay.
Yep, it all depends too on how you're stacking. How are you stacking?
Hmm.
Are you putting an engine on a pallet that needs dunnage, which is just additional lumber built on the pallet
Hmm.
to hold something in place? Um, Pallet Alliance is now working with crates, a lot of crates, and we're finding the opportunities for cost savings with crates because um, a lot of companies may have been working with the same crate company for years and they haven't made any changes and they're still putting too much lumber in there. You know, do you want to be more sustainable? You know,
Hmm.
are there other crate manufacturers out there that you are unaware of? And this is what we
Hmm.
find often that when we source for our companies, we source within a 250-mile radius of each location because no location is the same. No location who's manufacturing something is using the same um, um, facility operating procedures. They're not using the same machinery. They may be using a roller instead of chains. They may be there's such there are so many like variables when it comes to figuring out the best solution for each location.
Hmm.
And to do that, you need the right people with the right knowledge and the right experience to come in and go,
Mhm.
absolutely, this is what we see is happening. This location in California is doing the same thing you have in New Jersey. I think you can standardize a few things here. You know, there's so many opportunities to improve your current process
Mhm.
and just making sure you're researching the right company to do that with. I'm biased. Pallet Alliance is the right company because they have the right brains behind this process. Um, but there are other companies out there.
Well, we're going to focus on the current company right now for a few more minutes.
Yeah, we like this one. This one's a pretty cool one. It's good people
Well,
too.
there you go. Well,
Yeah.
here's another question I had is, okay, now that a lot of this is a lot of what we talked about right now is kind of how to like the content and things to consider, right? And just learning about creating a
Mhm.
category strategy on pallets, right? Being able to show the CPO, being able to head of supply, the chief supply chain officer and head of logistics and so forth, right?
Mhm.
Um, when what makes a good, I guess, what makes a good RFP and pricing template? What like if there are like maybe three or four things that really stand out to you, if this was a really well done RFP that I know I could meet their needs and like this procurement nerd did it right. Like what are the three things that they did?
Um, okay. If you have up-to-date palette specifications, provide your product and primary packaging characteristics. What are you putting on the pallet? What's the maximum and minimum weight load that you're placing on top of there? If it's boxes, if it's super sacks, if it's barrels, just providing the
Hmm.
right information. Um, what are your facility operating procedures? What are your storage and handling methods? You could talk about the industrial systems compatibility. That's what I was talking about with the are you using a roller? Are you using a palletizer? Are you using
Hmm.
chains? Or how are how do your pallets move around? How are you stacking on your pallets?
Hmm.
Um, Provide your supply service parameters. If you are putting out an RFQ with 45 locations, I think the best thing for you to do is reach out to those 45 locations and say, what do you require? Do you require drop trailers? Do you require live unload? Where are you storing these pallets?
Hmm.
Are you storing
Hmm.
these pallets inside or outside? Because if you're storing them outside and it rains a lot where you are, and you're seeing a lot of mold problems, that's a
Well, no
problem you need
joke.
to fix.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Obviously, the transportation and shipping environments. Do you need flatbed, enclosed, truck? I mean, and then what are you currently seeing like issues with the
Hmm.
quality of the pallets themselves? Um, are you seeing service issues?
Hmm.
If you point those things out and you say, okay, this is what we're currently receiving, this is what's currently going on, we want you to help. But number one on the list is updated specifications. And if you
Hmm.
don't have those things, hire a professional that will do that for you. That professional is Pallet Alliance. I'm
That's
telling you,
awesome.
they,
So here's my next question, though. I guess when it comes to the pricing template, the thing that
yeah,
everyone dreads because everyone wants to then fill it out in their own way, and then we get
yeah.
over 15 of them, and then we try to make you know Esperanto out of German, French, Swahili, and Cambodian or something. Um, what helps? What types of things help in there? Like quantity? Is it like quantity and by dimensions? I guess that would help as a factor.
Mhm.
Would it, are tiered pricing models relevant in the pallet world?
No, I think because prices in the pallet industry move quite often. Again,
Okay.
because there are so many um, variables involved. Um,
Okay.
I think the best thing you can do, and this is what Pallet Alliance does, is we make sure that our cost I just want to make sure I say this right. So I'm gonna do market-driven pricing.
Okay.
And this is what I want to definitely talk about. So lumber prices are influenced by unpredictable factors, labor shortages and strikes, mill production and transportation cost, volatility in higher grade lumber markets, supply and demand shifts. We could talk about trade and immigration policy changes,
Okay.
weather disruptions.
Mhm.
There's, I think the best thing to do, and this is what Pallet Alliance does, is transparent market aligned pricing, which
Mhm.
means it's an ongoing monitoring of lumber market indicators.
Mhm.
So you want to make sure that you can follow Random Lengths is a publication, Palette Profile is a publication. Um, you can
So random
follow,
lengths like
yeah, it's
length.
called Random Lengths. Yes,
Okay.
you can get lumber information, but Palette Alliance does all of this for you, and we provide you with the changes of the prices in the micro regional areas.
Mhm.
And when working with Pallet Alliance, you don't have to just get a surprise price increase. Um, what we do is we work with our partners, 3,500 pallet manufacturers, to make sure that we get the actual reasons and back up that actual reason with scientific data as to why
Mhm.
these prices are changing. So we monitor that for you. And the great thing about monitoring that for you is that when there's an upswing, we have to prove it. And when there's a
Mhm.
downswing, we pass along immediately the savings
Mhm.
that we're seeing. If we're seeing pallet manufacturers kind of holding on to their prices, but we're noticing what's happening in the market, we're very proactive about jumping on top of that. And we're
Okay.
like, hey guys, this is what we're seeing in the market. What's going on there? Can we do anything for our customers?
So there's
And
so putting in a variable, perhaps putting in a variable in our negotiations on that market-driven pricing based on random links or based on a third-party index or pallet alliance index could be something that we could include to then establish some fairness, is what I'm
yeah,
hearing.
you can
Okay.
also, as a procurement professional, whomever you're working with, you can also, you can demand that you receive data to back up the price changes.
Okay.
Like they have to prove it.
Yeah.
I think it's only, fair
Hmm.
practice that they have to prove what's going on. They don't have to show you how much they're paying for lumber, but
Yeah.
I mean, the science behind everything that's happening can be proven.
Okay. So it could stand to reason that there's a there's a profit padding in there based on the fluctuations. So there's some ebbs and flows. And so they stand to get
Mhm.
some nice profit margins, those margins off of those um, troughs, so to speak.
Yeah, the ebbs and flows.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
So it's just about being, transparent with what's going on.
Hmm.
And there's also like what Pout Alliance is proactive vendor negotiations, which is what I was talking about, which is, hey, we're noticing what's happening in the industry. Let's have a conversation. And it only makes it fair for all parties involved. I think
Hmm.
you can you can take our name, right, and apply this here with Pallet Alliance. We create this alliance between the pallet manufacturer and the customer, and we make them work together
Hmm.
for the benefit of everybody.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, this is awesome. So we got a question here of
Sure.
talking about risk management, especially third
Mm.
party, especially with so many variables, like you said, of the wood quality or the metal quality or the recycled composite, if you use probably a combo. To what extent does third party risk management play into this, like at the first, second, or even nth tier? Because a lot of times during the pandemic, we really had to do
Mm.
that due diligence. Well, forced labor out of Uyghur region in China, like Eastern China, of course. But from what you're seeing there, like how does third party risk going to play a part in it?
So if you're working with a pallet management company like Pallet Alliance, when we are working at making sure that all of our customers have that supply chain resiliency, um, we not only line up the next vendor for you, but we have a backup for that backup, who then has a backup for that backup that has the same capabilities to then reach
Hmm.
you, say something were to happen.
So
Heaven
that's in
forbid.
case for that's a capacity play for third party risk. What I'm hearing.
Correct.
Okay.
Right. So like,
Hmm.
yeah. So if you are having a capacity problem, if you're having a lumber species problem, if you're having, you know, what's another one? If you're having a transportation problem, if you're having, what's another one? If your supplier's heat treatment kiln is not working, you have Pallet Alliance to back you up to say, okay, that's okay. We'll ship these pallets to this pallet manufacturer who is allowing them to borrow the kiln, and then don't worry, you're gonna get specific to pallets. You're not gonna have the issues because of, I think, because of the number of partners that we have that are vetted, that work with us, that are able to provide that resiliency.
Wow. No, this is
Yeah.
good. Um, so what would you, I guess, for folks in the procurement world, trying to figure this out, how would you to even sell the need, like sell the need and the benefit of a pallet program? What would be like what would be your professional advice? Like what has proven helpful to then get those C-suite people to buy into a pallet program is the right way to go?
Yeah. I think it's situational, but I think the best advice to give to sell that is that if you can work with a company that will centralize your program, will maintain all updated records, will be specific with the market, and will be cost effective, right? Everybody has to be cost effective. That is a primary goal for a lot of procurement professionals, because they are being told from above that they have to do this or have to do that. But I also think what comes from working with Pallet Alliance and national pallet programs is the single point of contact
Mm-hmm.
to solve your issues. You no longer have to reach out to 40 different vendors. You reach out to Pallet Alliance and they'll do that for you. Or
Mm-hmm.
you know, the continuous improvement opportunities. And I'm telling you, it is continuous. Again, companies wouldn't be with us if it for there's some over 20 years, there's 15, 20 years, if we weren't continuously improving their process. And we do that in an innovative manner. We
Mm-hmm.
have to stay up to date with all of the technology. We use the best software that's out there to find these solutions for you. We have the smartest packaging engineers, palette scientists, and the coolest people. They're just genuinely good people who care about pallets and crates
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
wood packaging, and they want to make sure that you are efficient. So, to encourage, I would say, anybody's boss, if they want to do that,
Mm-hmm.
spend visibility is huge.
Well, that's where I was thinking about too, is
Yeah.
really in the visibility through a centralized program, especially with that IntelliPalette being able to have the IoT
Mhm.
trackers and then seeing where that is. How do how does sustainability, I mean, in this space, you're using wood, right?
Mhm.
Those trees are no longer living at the end of that.
Ah, there's something interesting to say about this. So,
Yeah.
95% of wooden pallets are recyclable. And trees that used to take 80 years to grow are now taking 20 years to grow to the size they need to be in order to produce lumber. And then you have farms that are reproducing these things. So their crop every year, I mean, for every tree they take down, they're planting a new one. And they have, it's not just willy-nilly going into the woods and cutting down whatever trees they find.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They are now producing trees faster than they've ever produced them before. Different species. Your
Mm.
hardwoods take longer to grow, but I mean, a lot of southern yellow pine, they're growing pine trees
Everywhere.
everywhere. And these tree farms are doing it the right way. They figured it out.
Mm.
So wood is still the best product to use because it's the most recyclable.
But I guess it's sustainability not just is on just wood usage,
Oh,
but
yeah.
then also
Mhm.
carbon emissions and
Oh, huge.
those types of things, because then
Mhm.
cutting them down in the manufacturing process and the recyclability, what types of reporting, because we're going to have to, it's not, the United States is not as far into that regulatory environment as the UK, Australia, Hong Kong, Singapore.
Mhm.
What's what type of data and what type of reporting is coming now into this industry?
Yep. So the Pallet Foundation I brought up earlier?
Mm,
So a few years ago, the Pallet Foundation did a CO2 emissions study to figure out what the actual CO2 emissions are of pallets and then recycling pallets. And they continue to do the study. I think they're actually working on a new study now, updating that study now, right, to get more accurate numbers. But what's happening, what we do for organizations when they're looking for their CO2 emissions, when we're doing recycle programs or recycle reuse programs, for every pallet, there's a specific amount of CO2 that is measured. So um, if you can calculate how many pallets you've recycled, repaired, or are reusing, you can actually calculate the amount of CO2 emissions you've saved. So Pallet Alliance does create these sustainability reports that we provide to our customers when requested um, to do so. But I think they are working on updating that study right now. But NWPCA has also taken large steps with the Pallet Foundation to make sure that they are reporting their sustainability with regard to pallets and crates.
wow.
Mhm.
Well, man, you're right. We can talk about pallets for a long time. It's already been
It goes
over,
on and on.
it's already been over 50, 50 minutes of an
Oh,
hour.
it
Time,
has.
time has flown. Wanted to then open it up. Kathy, are there any other questions that we're seeing out there?
Nothing yet right now, just the one. But if anybody has a question, please be sure to put it in the chat, or you can come off the mic and you can ask live.
Mhm.
But it was a very interesting discussion. Definitely. I never knew so much about pallets before.
Yeah.
Wow.
I learn something new every day. Um, and I think there are a lot of opportunities to see what's going on in the pallet industry. It's its own monster. It is big, but it is necessary.
Well, here's another question then. Everyone talks about AI.
Yeah,
Does AI matter in pallets?
absolutely. There are new softwares out there that a lot of that not a lot, but some pallet manufacturers are investing in. Well, I couldn't think of the word invest. Are investing in that. There are AI machines that will actually in a pallet manufacturing plant. When they're making cuts, they're measuring boards and stuff. There's actually AI software that will read the measurements of the boards and then separate them into, sort them where they need to go, so on and so forth. But also with Pallet Alliance, when it comes to AI, our goal is to get our customers the exact data they need to implement into their AI process. So if they have KPIs that they're looking, each one of our customers gets their own dashboard um, to share with us what KPIs they want us to monitor. But we can then find the data that you are looking for. So spend data is huge. And organizations are trying to find that data, the accurate data, because you can't have accurate AI unless you have accurate data. Um, we provide that data to our customers to make sure that they can then implement that information into their AI processes. So our job is to help you find the right data so you can then implement it with what you need.
Well, yeah, we had another question from someone I actually
Mhm.
got to meet at UNC Greensboro last night. We had a great
Yay!
ISM-CV. We had a really fun time with a lot of students and asked about, as an early career professional, importance, learn more about the importance of pallets. And I just went in there and said, you're the right person, but I also just included their random links in the NWPCA that you mentioned as well,
Perfect.
and
Yep.
Pallet Foundation.
There, yep. There's a lot of resources out there. Please friend me on LinkedIn. Ask me crazy questions. If I don't know the answers, I don't know a lot, but I might know a lot of people who do know a lot about that. So I can always get the answer for you. So
Great.
Pallet Alliance is here to help.
Well, we can't thank you enough, Mary, and please let me know
Yeah.
next time you're here in our region. We really
You got it.
loved having you today, and I hope you get some rest before your next trip and friendship making exercises.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. It's been great to be here. I really appreciate it.
Well, on behalf of ISM, Carolinas, Virginia, and Pallet Alliance, thanks for everyone for attending. And yeah, we had about 25 people on this discussion today.
Awesome.
So we're making a lot of friends. All right.
Awesome.
Well, take care. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys. Thank you.